Whether you're a medical student or a junior doctor or a consultant, no matter which point you're at in your career, you are not alone in your struggle. Medicine is quite literally one of the hardest, most taxing careers there are out there. You put years of hard work and studying and long hours and taking care of other people, all at the expense of yourself. There aren't that many other careers out there that require so much personal sacrifice as medicine does. Medicine wasn't hard for me because of the theory or the clinical skills or the years spent studying or working with patients. Yes, those things were emotionally, physically, and psychologically taxing, but they aren't the reasons why I left. I left because of the lack of support and care for me as an individual human being, the toxic culture, the bullying, the occasional harassment, and in general, the atmosphere and vibe of the medical field as a whole. I know that not everyone has that experience. There are some medical students and doctors that are absolutely thriving in medicine right now, and that's really fantastic. But the likelihood is that if you're watching this video, you're probably not one of those doctors. If you're a doctor who's struggling right now, then you probably fall into one of these three broad categories. The first category is that you're struggling, but you're fully committed to medicine, you see a happy future, and you want to stay on the path. The second category is that you're struggling and you're not quite sure if you want to leave medicine or not. You haven't made up your mind yet. And the third category is that you're struggling and you are very damn sure that you want to leave medicine. This video is more so for people who are in categories 2 and 3. So if you're in category 1, I would just say stay strong and keep pushing, but this is probably not the right video for you because I'm mostly going to be talking about leaving medicine, which you probably don't want to do. This video is not meant to encourage anyone to leave medicine. All I mean to do with this video is to validate the feelings of the people who are struggling and who have already been thinking about leaving. Becoming a doctor is highly admirable. I have so much respect for every single medical student and doctor out there that's trying to make it work. And you are wonderful for starting this path. But I need you to know it's okay if you've been thinking about leaving. You need to know that you're not alone in this. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of other doctors who feel the same way. It's just incredibly difficult to voice that, not only to other people, but also to yourself. To let yourself think that you've worked this hard and you've had this shining beacon of hope that becoming a doctor was going to be this amazing thing, and then to experience what it's actually like and have that vision completely destroyed is a very difficult thing to go through. There are many reasons why leaving medicine specifically is incredibly difficult. And some of those reasons you don't even want to say out loud. You don't even want to admit them to yourselves. For example, being a doctor is so closely tied to your identity and is such a proud thing to be and something that's so highly respected in society. How would you then feel if you left and you could no longer tell people that you were a practicing doctor? It would take a hit on your ego. It took a hit on my ego, and it takes a hit on many other ex-doctors' egos. But just because it feels good to say that you're a doctor doesn't mean that it feels good to be a doctor. And you have to be real and ask yourself, is this one of the main ones that are holding me back, or do I not really care about this? Is there something else that's the main reason why I don't want to leave? And a lot of doctors who are thinking about leaving fall into the trap of the sunk cost fallacy. And the sunk cost fallacy is a cognitive bias in which you stay on the same path that you're on because you feel that you've already invested too much time, energy, or effort into that path, even though another path would be better for you. So a lot of people use the example of buying a coffee. Imagine you went to Starbucks and you bought a coffee for £5. You taste the coffee, it tastes like crap. You don't really want to drink it, but you think to yourself, I've already paid £5, I have to drink it now because I already spent that money. But it doesn't actually matter whether you drink it or not because the £5 has already been spent. It's already gone, you can't get it back. So then to torture yourself into drinking this bad coffee just because you'd already spent £5 on it doesn't actually make logical sense. And the same applies for medicine. A lot of doctors and medical students think to themselves, oh well, I've already put in X amount of years into working in this field or working towards this, so if I leave now, everything that I've done would be a waste. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Firstly, it's not a waste. You've amassed so much experience in that time that you can definitely use forward in whatever you do next. And secondly, just because you've already spent 5 or 10 years being miserable in this path doesn't mean that you should spend another 5 or 10 years continuing down that miserable path. And you may just be going through a rough patch right now. There are various stages within medicine that are very difficult to overcome. And if you see a future for yourself in which you think, once I overcome this rough patch, there will be happiness in the future, then that's fantastic. You should probably stay on the path. It might be the right path for you. But for many other people, myself included, I would look around and I would look into the eyes of the registrars or the consultants that I would work with, And all I saw was misery and stress and pressure and unhappiness. There were very few people around me who made me feel like they absolutely loved what they were doing and they absolutely loved their life and medicine. All I could see was misery. And to add on top of that, the NHS is like crumbling and it just feels like there's no hope for the future. That if I continue down this path, all I will face is misery and stress and anxiety and potentially depression. And if you're one of those people who looks around and all you can see is misery and you have absolutely no hope for the future, then I need to tell you that you can find happiness outside of this career. You do not need to sacrifice your life and your future happiness for a career. And what's more so, if you have reached a point that's so bad that you even contemplate hurting yourself over it, then you definitely should not be staying in this career. I've heard so many stories of doctors, and myself included, where I've wished harm upon myself so that I didn't have to go into work or clinical placement. I would think to myself, oh, I hope I would get sick or break my arm, or this would happen, or I would get hit by a car just so that I would have a good excuse not to go in. And that is horrific. It's horrific to reach a point where you actively wish harm upon yourself so that you could avoid going to work. I know what that feels like, and I also know what it feels like to go to sleep on a Sunday absolutely dreading Monday morning. And I also know what it feels like to go to sleep on a Sunday night early because you're so excited to wake up on a Monday morning and go to work. And that's what I've experienced for me personally outside of medicine. I have been so excited in the path that I've chosen that I would genuinely really look forward to going to work. And I know some people experience that within medicine, but a lot of people don't. I was only able to experience it once I left medicine, but that feeling is so amazing. And don't get me wrong, every single job, every single career comes with stress. You might feel anxious, you might feel depressed or low at times, you might cry. I certainly have. I have felt stressed in other paths, but there is something fundamentally different about being genuinely excited about what you're doing and wanting to wake up the next day and work on it versus wishing harm upon yourself because you don't want to go back into that environment. I have worked in environments that were so fun, so supportive, so caring, so great that I just wanted to go there so that I could be surrounded by my colleagues and my friends and all work towards something meaningful. And for many reasons, I could never re-establish that feeling within medicine. But I just want you to know that if you are one of those people who can't see hope in the future, if you have gotten to the point where you feel so low that you have contemplated harming yourself, please know there is hope in a different path. There is happiness in a different path. I am not just speaking from my own experience, but the experience of many other ex-doctors that I know who have left, who are my friends, who now prefer and have found happiness in a different path. You do not need to sacrifice your life for a career, not for medicine, not for being a police officer, a lawyer, whatever. You do not need to give up your life for the sake of this career and for the sake of just being able to help other people, because you can help other people outside of medicine. Believe me when I say that. You can find happiness, you can help other people, you can feel fulfilled, and you do not need to wake up miserable every single day just to be able to help other people. There are ways out of this, and I need you to know that you are not a bad person if you have thought about leaving. You are not a bad person if you no longer want to be a doctor. You are not a bad person if you dislike medicine and the environment of medicine. And you are not a bad person for leaving behind 5 to 10 years or whatever of energy, time, money that you've invested. That does not make you a bad person, and it doesn't make you a bad person even if you want to go into a career that has nothing to do with helping other people. You can do whatever you want. Just don't lose your life over this career that you feel that you have to go down and that there is no way out of, because there is a way. I'm not saying that that way is necessarily super easy. It can be quite difficult, but I promise you, most of it lies with you mentally, with the pressures and expectations that society has put on you and that you've put on yourself for what your life should look like and what your career should look like. The actual logistics of leaving medicine and finding another job are not hard. They are not that difficult. There are ways to get there, and there are ways to get there without even quitting completely. You can test it out. You can do freelancing. You could do a part-time role. You could do so many different things, volunteering, that will allow you to get a taste of what it's like to be outside of medicine and maybe even find hope in one of those paths. You don't need to set your whole life up in flames. It's not black and white. It's not all or nothing. It's not this or that. You can do so many things and just take step by step towards a brighter, happier future. But the worst thing to do is just to give up and think this is the only path, that you have no way forward, that there's no one to help you, because I promise you, there are people who care and people who want to support you and want to help you get through this. I know firsthand what it feels like to actually contemplate suicide and to feel so deep in anxiety and depression that it feels like there's no way out. I know that feeling, but I promise you, I have been able to come out of that, and many people I know have also been able to come out of that. You do not need to stay on this path if you feel so low that you have been contemplating harming yourself, or you've even wished or fantasized about self-harm, because this is not the right path for you if that's happening. You need support, even if it means taking a break. Maybe that's all you need. Maybe you just need to step away. That's okay. But you cannot keep pushing down a path that is causing you deep levels of misery and unhappiness for the sake of other people. You can be selfish in a healthy way. Selfishness is not always bad, because if you are in a point where you feel so low, so deeply low, that all you can bring to other people and your work and your colleagues and your team and your patients is that energy of misery, then what is the point? That's not even helping them. Yes, you may be diagnosing someone and giving them treatment, but if you're not there, someone else will do it. That person is not relying on you specifically to be able to treat them. There are processes, there are books, there's everything. Someone else will be able to treat them. If you are a doctor who instead is bringing super high amounts of energy and life and positivity to your patients, that's a different story. But if you just feel so low within yourself, you're not going to be bringing as much into this world, as much impact as you can, if you were instead happy. And if you are really struggling deeply, please know that there are people who genuinely want to help and support and care for you. There are actually resources, there are organizations out there who can help you. I'm going to put some resources on the screen. You can also find them in the description below. Also know that if you can't access those organizations, or there's no one around you in your direct circle that you can speak to, please know you can also speak to me. Message me on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you find me. I'm like all over the internet, LinkedIn, I don't know. I don't use LinkedIn. Don't message me on LinkedIn. I don't like it. But anywhere else, message me. I'm here. I want to help you as much as possible. I don't know how much I'll be able to help you, because a lot of it has to come from within you as well. But I will be there because I care, and I want to support you, and I want to help you get through this. Because the last thing I want to see is yet another doctor losing their life because of the stresses and the pressures that they feel, and the feeling that there's no hope out there for them, because there is hope. There's a future for you where you're happy, you're content, you're fulfilled, and you're not living in misery. Reach out to me if you have no one to speak to. I will do my best to help. I have been in the darkest of places, but I managed to crawl my way out. And I am so happy for that, because all I can see for my future is hope. I genuinely feel excited for my career and my future because I love what I do. I find so much joy and purpose and meaning in it. Yes, I struggle. We all do. Everyone does. It's not to paint a fairy tale picture of the situation. Definitely not. There are difficult times as well. And for the doctors out there who are living their dream, who love medicine, who are so passionate about it, I am so happy that you exist. Thank you for your work. I am so glad that you've been able to find a career that is beautiful for you. But if you're not one of those doctors, you don't need to force yourself to try and become one. If you don't feel that you want to be in it, just think about leaving, or try out different ways of leaving, or testing out something new. You may even take a break, try something new, and then realize, hey, actually I prefer medicine. That's also okay. But don't live in this constant like what if stage of misery and not knowing if something else is better for you. You can test things and go back to them and leave and come back and do whatever the hell you want. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm shouting at you guys. I am not shouting at you. I'm just really passionate about this whole topic and about helping people see that there's a way outside of this. If they feel like they're stuck and that there's no way out, there is a way out. Just remember that you're not alone. At the very least, you have me. I will be here for you to help as much as I can. I love you guys. Stay strong. Please don't give up hope, and I will speak to you in the next video. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.